We have a message today, and the sting of the adder. I need the clicker. The context of this title is found in Proverbs 23. So if we can turn there, Proverbs 23, starting with verse 29. And don't worry, we're not going to have any more snake pictures for those of you who have an aversion to snakes. And it talks about woe. Thank you. Okay, sting of the vipers. Sting of the adder. Viper, adder, serpent. In Proverbs 23, starting with verse 29. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions? Who has babblings? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? They that tarry long upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent. And what else does it do? It stings like an adder. What is causing this sting of an adder? The wine that has been drank. And so when you think about alcohol in general, there are many different sources or where the alcohol can be made from. It can be made from grapes, it can be made from wheat, it can be made from various types of fruit. But although it comes in from many sources and it has many forms, I am going to discuss some of the effects of alcohol. We also know that it affects everybody. It's not, there's no barriers. It's not just for educated or uneducated, rich or poor, white or black, universally. Even though some may have more challenges with alcohol, it's definitely universal. So you have all types of people who drink, those who are even health conscious, maybe working out, trying to eat healthy, go to church, and still alcohol can be a part of their daily or weekly or monthly special event of their lives. So there was an article entitled "To Drink or Not to Drink." And in this article, it was strongly promoted to relax and take a drink a day, preferably with dinner. So in this case, the alcohol use is being promoted. And this is actually the article. To drink or not to drink, that is the question. So if you read through that, you'll think that, okay, I need to eat healthy. Yes. I need to exercise. Yes. I know that those things contribute to my health, correct? But at the same time, you're being told you need to add some fermented beverage to improve your health. So because it's so prevalent, and because there are some of us who may say, absolutely, I will never, ever, ever, we also come in contact with people all of the time who either have made other choices or are making choices. So if you have wisdom that you can guide them with, that's part of the purpose of this discussion. So what about moderate drinking? There were about 2,500 scientific studies on moderate drinking, saying yes or no, yes or no. And it goes back and forth. Most say that you're going to be less likely to die from certain conditions if you drink moderately. Now, I find that very interesting. And I'm just going to back up and say, first of all, what is your authority? Is your authority science, or is your authority the Bible? So let's start off with, I'm going to read from 1 Corinthians 1, verse 22 and 23. And actually, I may just paraphrase that. But in here, Paul is telling us that we're acting often like the Greeks. Verse 22, for the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. Some people say, show me the science and I will do. Right? So, you're acting in the form of a Greek at that point. Isaiah 8:20 says, to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to thy word, there's no light in them. Now let's turn to Proverbs 20, verse 1, and I'm going to ask somebody to read that. Proverbs 20, verse 1.
It is written, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise.
Okay. So you're being deceived, basically, if you don't understand the deleterious effects of alcohol. Turn a couple of pages over to Proverbs 23, and we have verse 21. We read verses 29. You could go all the way down to 35, but we want to read verse 21. Someone would read? Proverbs 23, verse 21.
For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags.
So there are consequences of alcohol misuse, and we know that for sure. But even with what is considered not abusive use of alcohol. In Isaiah chapter 5, I'm going to start with verse 20. Actually, I was going to be reading verse 11 and 12, but I want to read verse 20 also. Woe unto them, verse 20, them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. So you're thinking, okay, I can make an intelligent decision and I can make choices. I'm wise in my eyes. I'm putting darkness for light. Now, prior to that, in verse 11 and 12, woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them. And the harp and the viol and the tabret and the pipe and the wine are in their feast. But they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operations of his hand. In Daniel 1, we know that Daniel and his companions were taken to, where were they taken to? They were taken to Babylon, correct. And while there, they had a choice. They had a choice of what, this started early. As soon as they get there, they have a choice. And Daniel purposed in his heart. He purposed that he would not defile himself, not only with the king's meat or with the wine that he drank. So it was a decision, a purposeful decision. And lastly, Ephesians 5:18, and be not drunk with wine wherein is excess, but be filled with what? Be filled with the Spirit. Yes, we want to be filled with the Spirit. Not the spirits, as they call wine. So when you trust the science, okay, now before most of us were alive, doctors were promoting cigarette smoking. Okay. So there was a common saying, and then they would advertise more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. It was prescribed as a remedy. Okay, we're talking about who is your authority. In the 19th century, there was a German doctor who was mocked when he first recommended that people start washing their hands. They were working with cadavers in the morning. In the afternoon, they would go to the hospital, and as they're delivering women, they were actually not coming straight from the cadavers, hands not washed, and examining and delivering, and there were unnecessary deaths. And when he proposed that, he was completely mocked, ridiculed, and actually it was never accepted. The standard washing of hands that is done now, which is not just a minute. I mean, this is a scrubbing that's done prior to any surgical procedure, and even the washing that's done as you go from one room to another, from one patient to another. And that came when Dr. Lister in England actually brought the issue back up. So again, there are many times when we know that understanding is not all, we don't have all understanding, but there is an infallible, I can't emphasize that enough, authority, and that is the Bible. So if you stick with the Bible, then you're going to be good. So we're told in the Bible that he that is faithful in that which is least will be faithful also in much. And over you hear in our talks that the life is the flesh of the blood, and that's found in Leviticus 17, that if I want to have good health, I have to have healthy cells. So by having my blood circulating nutrients and oxygen and getting rid of waste, I am bringing life to my cells, and I'm taking waste out so that the organs of elimination can remove them. That is going to allow me to have a healthy body. By having a healthy cells, by having, and going backwards a step further, healthy blood that's flowing, first of all, and pure blood. And we know that there are 5 needs of the cell. Oxygen, we know that. We need water, we need nutrients, we need to keep poisons out. That's my emphasis, and waste elimination. So all poisons have to be removed from the body. So if you're removing poisons from the body, why would you purposely bring them in unless you don't think it's a poison? So let's just see some things. Whenever the cells of the body are exposed to even low levels of alcohol, harm results. Satan gathered the fallen angels together to devise some way of doing the most possible evil to the human family. One proposition after another was made till finally Satan himself thought of a plan. He would take the fruit of the vine, also wheat, and other things given by God as food, and would convert them into poisons, which would ruin man's physical, mental, and moral powers. He had a goal. He's trying to ruin our powers that God had given man. And so that's why he comes up with this device, and so overcome the senses that Satan should have full control. Under the influence of liquor, men would be led to commit crimes of all kinds. And I know that either you may have witnessed this, or you've read it in the papers or seen it on the news. Through perverted appetite, the world would be made corrupt. And as we continue on, by leading men to drink alcohol, Satan would cause them to descend lower and lower in the scale. This is from Temperance, the book Temperance, page 12. Satan has succeeded in turning the world from God. The blessings provided in God's love and mercy, he has turned into a what? A deadly curse. He has filled men with a craving for liquor and tobacco. This appetite, which has no foundation in nature, has destroyed its millions. It's a craving for many people. Even I have talked to people who've told me that they knew never to take their first drink because when they smelled it, they had a craving. And so they knew that if they had a craving without ever drinking it, that if they were to take that, then obviously they had some genetic inclination for it. So praise God for the wisdom to know to abstain. And part of my reason of saying this, of doing this, is because we're at the holidays, what's called holiday season. Many people have gone to work parties. Many people are going to be gathering with family. New Year's is coming up. And some of these meetings, unfortunately, there is an association that to have fun, there has to be a substance, alcohol. I also have family members, particularly some of who are working, who have made a decision not to drink, who get questioned. And so then people come up and they say, oh, well, science says da 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 da. So we want to just look at some of the things that are coming up because some of the things may be old. Those who deal in liquor, and this sustains the traffic, and thus sustain the traffic, are working in cooperation with Satan. Through this business, dealing in liquor, they are doing a greater work to perpetuate human woe than are men through any other business in the world. Those who are selling alcohol, dealing with liquor, are doing a greater work of evil than all the other businesses in the world. Indulgence in intoxicating liquor places a man wholly under the control of the demon who devised the stimulant in order to deface and destroy the moral image of God. They are, what does it say? Wholly under the control of a demon. And we know that demons can let you look outwardly functional. And then you have the demons like in the Bible where people were just raving and acting all wild, having to be suppressed. So everyone will be different. But if you're indulging, it's a problem. God has formed laws. And the thing about laws, they are absolute, right? Meaning I drop this, it's going down, it's not going up. So God has formed laws which govern our constitutions, and these laws which he has placed in our being are what? They're divine. And for every transgression, there is a penalty. You can make a choice. God gives you the ability to choose, but with your choice, there's going to come consequences. And that's with any law. A penalty which must sooner or later be realized. The majority of diseases which the human family have been and still are suffering under, they have created by ignorance of their own organic laws. People do not understand how their bodies were made to operate, what the laws are so that you can have health and vitality. They seem indifferent in regard to the matter of health and work perseveringly to tear themselves to pieces, and when broken down and debilitated in body and mind, send for the doctor and drug themselves to death. And it's sad because it's ignorance. They do not know. So we want to make sure that we are also ambassadors of health, that we are sharing truth. Also from the book Temperance and 3 Testimony, page 50, intemperance of any kind of intemperance. So yes, we're talking about alcohol right now, but we're talking any type of intemperance right now. It benumbs the perceptive organs and so weakens the brain nerve power that eternal things are not appreciated, but placed upon a level with the common. The higher powers of the mind, designed for elevated purposes, are brought into slavery to the baser passions. If our physical habits are not right, our mental and moral powers cannot be strong. For great sympathy exists between the physical and moral. So you wonder why you can't get victory over certain things, or you have certain habits that keep pulling you back. So you have to look at the whole area of intemperance. What area could I be intemperate in that I need so that I can have that greater connection and I'm not subject to the baser passions, as is worded? Again, temperance, page 13, the brain nerves which communicate with the entire system are the only medium through which heaven can communicate to man and affect his inmost life. The only way is through the brain nerves. Now, the next point puts that in perspective. So whatever is going to disturb the circulation of the electric currents in the nervous system lessens the strength of the vital powers, and the result is a deadening of the sensibilities of the mind. If your sensibilities in your mind are decreased, that means you aren't as sensitive to anything, right? You aren't as sensitive to even reading people's facial expressions. Should I say this? Should I not? When the Holy Spirit is talking, should I do this or should I not? You are losing your sensibilities because of the fact that those brain nerves have been affected by your poor choices, your intemperance. Okay, so a drink a day keeps the doctor away. There were 2 recent editorials in a magazine, Alcoholism, Clinical and Experimental Research, debated whether to prescribe 1 drink a day for lifetime abstainers. So they're saying you've never drunk in your life. Okay, so you're like some of us, never had a drop. Should you start a drink a day between the ages of 40 and 50? Arguing for the recommendation, Rubin made the following points: that compared with abstinence and higher levels of use, moderate alcohol use is, he's going on and on with all these things. Decreased overall mortality, moderate alcohol use associated, according to this study, with decreased heart attacks, strokes, osteoporosis, diabetes, rheumatoid, dementia. Now, risk of alcohol dependence developing in lifelong abstainers who began drinking alcohol after age 40, he said it was, quote, trivial. Okay? Now, let's see. Now, is this toxin, which is considered just a mild toxin by some, still a toxin? Is that what I need so that I can have a long, vibrant, wonderful life? Is that the answer? Okay, so you know what the thing is, again, who's your authority, the Bible or science? So this just came out this week, December 18th, 2024. And this is from the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion, the National Academies. They finally came up with their findings on alcohol and health. And they were commissioned by Congress in 2023. They did these studies, and they will help the USDA as well as the Department of Health and Human Services come up with guidelines, which they're still working on. They're actually going to be allowing comments so that they're forming. Now, part of their concern is because of certain age groups which seem to have more of a problem. But let me just give you some of the facts, okay? More alcohol. This is March 4th, 2022, Science News. More alcohol, less brain. Association begins with an average of how many drinks a day? 1 drink a day. 1 drink a day. Less brain. Okay, so some of us want every little bit of brain that we have. I know I do. Maybe somebody else may think that there could, this is from a study of 36,000 adults, and they found a link between drinking and reduced brain volume that begins at an average consumption of level of less than 1 alcohol unit a day, the equivalent of a half a beer. Okay? Now, this is 2022. The UK Biobank, association between alcohol consumption and gray-white matters. Okay, so we're still talking in the brain. And so what they're showing is that the brain would actually atrophy. It would get smaller, the neurons in the brain, there were less of them. There was just less of the white matter for thinking. And here we show that there were definitely negative associations between alcohol intake and brain structure, both macro and microstructure, okay? And again, we're talking with a little bit of alcohol. We aren't talking about drinking as some individuals do. And we have a case of drunkenness in the Bible with Belshazzar, the night that the Babylonian kingdom was taken captive by the Medes and Persians. And because he was not in his right mind, he had the gall to bring out the holy vessels. And that was the ultimate straw that resulted in the handwriting on the wall, telling him that his kingdom was over, basically. Ecclesiastes 10:17 tells us that we should be eating for strength and not for drunkenness. So you make wise choices based on whatever you eat or whatever you drink. Not only to the glory of God, but you're making choices because is this going to help me or is this not? New report, even small amounts of alcohol can be harmful to blood pressure and lead to hypertension. March 2023, and alcohol harm issues policy research. This is a cancer progress report for 2024. And there were 6 types of cancers directly linked to excessive alcohol consumption: liver, breast, colorectal, esophageal, stomach, and head and neck cancers. Even light drinking increases cancer risks. Okay, so it would raise cancer mortality risk, even more so in those that were vulnerable. Now, part of the problem of a good cancer study is you can't, usually if you have a good study, you have people who don't know what they're getting, and then you have those who never drink and those that you're telling to drink. And science knows they can't tell people you need to go start drinking. So they're going back by asking people, when did you start drinking? How much do you estimate you drank, et cetera, and just trying to follow them through the years. Okay, so going on again with this cancer progress report, alcohol's carcinogenic effects begin in the mouth, where bacteria convert it to acetaldehyde. It also disrupts hormones, gut health, mitochondrial functions, which is your energy, as well as your sensor for toxins, sleep patterns, further increasing cancer risks. So the best thing is avoidance. So in Temperance, page 103, some say when an effort is made to enlighten them on this point, I'll leave off by degrees. I'll just start slowly decreasing the amount. But Satan laughs at such decisions. He says, they're secure in my power. I have no fear of them on that ground. But he knows that he has no power over the man who, when sinners entice him, has moral courage to say no. No. Squarely and positively. Such a one has dismissed the companionship of the devil. So you basically told him, no, we're going separate ways. And as long as he holds on to Jesus Christ, he is safe. He stands where heavenly angels can connect with him, giving him moral power to overcome. Dr. Namey is with the Canadian Institute for Substance Research. He talks about how alcohol is a carcinogen and contributes to about 50 different types of death. Overall, alcohol is a health hazard, he says later on. He says that facts tend to get lost when people start to talk about moderate drinking or how much alcohol they can have before it starts to be harmful. When it comes to alcohol, less is more. The more consistent findings across all the science is that, generally speaking, the less you drink, the better you are off health-wise. So I'm going to go through some common myths. This is from the Mayo Clinic about alcohol drinking. Number one myth: drinking a glass of alcohol at night has no impact on your health. Now, true or false? Okay, so this is a myth. Even small amounts of alcohol can lead to problems. And the World Health Organization, WHO, as well as the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism agree. Drinking alcohol is a health risk, and there's no reason to drink. You don't need to drink alcohol to have fun. And see, that's what the association, because of the way the media presents things, or magazines, whatever, that people who are having fun have to have a glass in their hand. And I have plenty of fun. I don't know about anybody else. And I've never drank and I don't plan to. But you can have lots of fun without having alcohol. Now, 1 glass of alcohol a day is especially good for you, especially if it's red wine. And this belief took hold because there were a few studies that talked about red wine and less deaths from heart disease or cardiovascular disease. And most people attributed that to the antioxidants that were in the wine skin. That really got taken and blown out of proportion, he says. All of a sudden, wine became this health must-do, that you must drink wine, otherwise you're not going to live very long. And it was just factually inaccurate. The data behind it is pretty loose. So again, and I'm talking because I know that my nieces and nephews are at those ages where some of their cousins choose and some of them don't. And I know that we're all around people who don't know the facts. And so my point is to share the facts so that we can disperse to others that there is no reason, even from a health perspective, even if you are not choosing to follow Christ, for you to start drinking. So another myth, you're not in danger of health or addiction problems if you only drink it socially. I'm only a social drinker, okay? So, you go to weddings, many weddings, what do they have? Alcohol. There's so many activities, like I said, New Year's Eve parties, whatever, everyone's thinking about the alcohol. And it is a problem, and unfortunately, the culture has made it seem that it's normal. And we need to try to help it to get to understand that it's not normal, it's abnormal. You have people in politics, you have people in music, you have so many that promote the use of alcohol. If you've been drinking responsibly for years, this is another myth, you're not going to get addicted to alcohol. So you've been drinking for 20 years and you never had a problem, so you're probably good to go. That may be true, it may not. Now, one thing we do know that after retirement, that often is an issue because you have more time. And many people do not have as much of a purpose, and then their drinking kind of can grow exponentially because you don't have to get to work and get up in the morning. One thing is a fact, the last line, but the more alcohol you expose your brain to, the more likely you're going to get addicted. Being able to hold your liquor means alcohol is not damaging your body as much. And I'll tell you this, again, I have relatives who, they brag about, everybody tells me how they can hold their liquor. People are amazed at how much they can drink and not at all appear drunk. Now, does that mean that you can go ahead and drink because you don't get drunk like other people do? It's actually the opposite. Those who maintain that they can hold their liquor, meaning that they can drink larger amounts with fewer apparent effects, may drink in excess to feel intoxicated. A higher tolerance for alcohol does not mean that the body is impervious to the effect of alcohol. It means that you need to be more cautious. The alcohol is still affecting their bodies, even if they do not immediately feel it, and they are still at higher risk of a lot of things because they're drinking more, because they aren't feeling the effects. Alcohol consumption, so the demographics of who is more at risk, or just what the facts are, let's just say. Those who drink the most are usually the young adults, between 18 and 25. And when you go according to race, those who responded to this, the Caucasians had the higher prevalence, but it says, whereas alcohol abuse and dependence were most prevalent among Native Americans and Native Americans and blacks also were most vulnerable to alcohol-related consequences, health consequences. And, you could see some of the many reasons why that would be. So even within ethnic groups, there was a variability between all these different subpopulations. But in general, men usually drank more than women, and men were more at risk for abuse. But women who do drink often will, there's not as many women that drink, but there are many women who still can end up becoming alcoholics. So Russian roulette. Russian roulette, you have a gun, you have the 6 chambers, put 1 bullet in, hold it to your head, and you're taking a chance, right? Now, when a person chooses to drink, you have 1. For some people, because of their genetics, they're like playing double Russian roulette. Because their chances, and I'm not going to go into what nationalities are increased, but the point is, there are many people who just need to never, ever, because you don't know what is going to happen to you when you start drinking. I don't know of anyone who would play Russian roulette, but I know that there are people who have, unfortunately. And then we know that so many things happen in utero. And there are cravings that a child can be born with. There are genetic predispositions a child may have. So even for the sake of your prosperity, you have to step back and say, would I want my child to have to go through unnecessary challenges? In Ministry of Healing, let the children inherit good constitutions so that they may battle their way through life with their own energetic strength. Why would you give a child extra battles? Right? Because of your choices. And we know that God was very specific. Even with Samson, he told Manoah and what his wife was supposed to eat or drink, not to eat or drink also. And the same thing with Samuel. We have John the Baptist also. Anything in eating or drinking which disqualifies the mental powers for healthful and active exercise is a what kind of sin? It's an aggravating sin in the sight of God. Especially is this the case with those who minister in holy things, who should at all times be an example to the people and be in a condition to properly instruct them. So anything that's going to lessen your mental powers, that's an aggravating sin. Okay? Now, if you're leadership, that's even more of a problem. Nothing less than perfect obedience can meet the standard of God's requirement. Again, Ministry of Healing, page 180. So basically, alcohol has no benefits. The safest level of drinking alcohol is none. It is a leading risk factor for death and disease. And we just have to be able to say and help others to say no to any amount of alcohol. So if a person was drinking and they just stop, after 1 week of being alcohol-free, not only do you have more money, get better sleep, you're going to have better hydration because alcohol is dehydrating, and you're going to be saving on excess calories, so your weight will probably decrease into a healthful weight. But if you go 2 weeks, your stomach lining starts returning to normal. You have less reflux in your stomach, your mind starts getting clear, again, more money, and you're waking up refreshed. You have clarity. With each week, you're going to have more and more clarity because we talked about the effects on the brain. You have improved vision, better kidney health, reduced heart problems, less risk of strokes, okay? Your blood sugar can improve, it'll stabilize. This is at 4 weeks. Reduce liver fat, and fat in the liver is a problem. It's a growing problem in America right now. Your cholesterol will drop to we aren't talking too low, we're talking about getting in a healthy range. The skin again is clearer and there's less anxiety. God is love, but he cannot excuse willful disregard for his commands. We talked about their laws. So these are laws. These aren't just like, okay, well, maybe I can let this slide or whatever. He cannot excuse willful disregard for his commands. The enactment of his government are such that men do not escape the consequences of disloyalty. Only those who honor him can he honor. Man's conduct in this world decides his eternal destiny. As he has sown, so he must reap. Cause will be followed by effect. So let's just say you're struggling. If you're struggling with alcohol, I encourage you to go to someone. This is again in Temperance 104. Go to those who you know, love, and fear God and say, take me to your care. Help me. For Satan tempts me fiercely. I have no power from the snare to go. Keep me with you every moment until I have more strength to resist temptation. But my question to you, if somebody came to you and said that, are you willing to help them, to be there, to be that tower of strength? And that's what each one of us is supposed to be willing to do. In Desire of Ages, page 568, Jesus is talking about, this is talking about Mary, who had the demons that were cast out repeatedly. If somebody would read that for me, please.
Mary had been looked upon as a great sinner, but Christ knew the circumstance that had shaped her life. He might have he might have extinguished every spark of hope in her soul, but he did not. It was he who had lifted her from despair and ruin. 7 times she had heard his rebuke of the demons that controlled her heart and mind. She had heard his strong cries to the Father in her behalf. She knew how offensive is sin to his unsouled purity, and in his strength she had overcome.
So Jesus knew the circumstances of how she got to where she is. And that's what you have to remember. There's a reason why. There's a reason why people are using or abusing. And so Jesus saw what she could do. And the 3rd paragraph talks about how Jesus knows the circumstances of every soul. God knows. He loves and he cares and he's willing to help. Ministry of Healing, page 164, we need more of Christ-like sympathy. Not merely sympathy for those who appear to us to be faultless, but we need sympathy for poor, suffering, struggling souls who are often overtaken in fault, sinning and repenting, tempted and discouraged. We are to go to our fellow men, touched like our merciful high priest, with the feelings of their infirmities. So we don't know the circumstances of got them where they are and why they have those needs, but we need to have sympathy and try to encourage and help. Christian motives demand that we work with a steady purpose, an undying interest, an ever-increasing importunity for the souls whom Satan is seeking to destroy. Nothing is to chill the earnest, yearning energy for the salvation of the lost. That should be an ongoing desire that's churning in you. I got to help somebody. I need to help somebody. Who can I help today? We must seize upon every opportunity in private and in public, presenting every argument, urging every motive of infinite weight to draw men where? We're trying to draw men where? To Christ, to the Savior. Black sheep. Now, I don't know, most families have somebody that they consider, and it may not be your immediate, but someone that's kind of called the black sheep. Now, when you have that black sheep, are you ostracizing? Are they off to themselves? Or are you putting that earnest desire and, like Jesus, going after them and willing to help them? When a black sheep has an addiction, you have to understand the enemy is not them. They can cause a lot of chaos in families. They may, depending how addicted they are, they may lose their jobs and they want money. There may be abuse, and I'm not talking about not being in a safe place, but I'm saying that you have to realize what is the problem. They are victims that need help. Our enemy temporarily, by God's grace, has control of them. And every time they drink, we read how they're put under that demon. So a lot of prayer, maybe even fasting. You may need to seek some godly counsel if it's causing so much chaos in the home. But God has an answer. And of course, like I said, safety is always paramount for those who may have an alcoholic in the home. But we don't want to be the one that casts a stone at them. We want to have that empathy and that love and understanding and try to understand and ask God for wisdom on how we can actually help them. The bottom line is whether an addiction is alcohol, whether it's shopping, whether it is your phone, whatever an addiction is, there's a problem. And the problem is that there's a hole there that you're trying to fill and only God can fill. And so until the root issue is, a person can stop drinking and end up with another addiction because they still haven't filled the hole. So our job is to help people find the problem, identify the real problem, and then go to God for the answer. Now I'm going to read out a tea that can be used for a person who is addicted to help. And it's a tablespoon of vervain, a tablespoon of skullcap, 3 tablespoons of it's a tablespoon of valerian, a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 3 tablespoons of peppermint. And you mix all of these together, and you take 2 tablespoons and you put that in a cup. So you're going to boil the water, put it in, let it sit, 10 or 15 minutes, strain, okay? So this is a tea that can be used to help for those who have a problem with addiction. And again, if you don't replace that hole with something, that's not going to be a long-term solution. Now, for those who say, I need something in the morning, I've had such a bad day, I'm stressed, I need something to relax. Well, God has given us some wonderful herbs that we call nervines. And there are multiple, we actually have a nervine herbal formula, the tea, that can be used for those who have had a lot of stress or just need to build their nerves up, which I liken to, the pictures you've seen of frayed ends of your hair when they're split ends. They kind of just help provide the nutrients to help fill that in. So a dropper of this would be a tincture of some of either one of the nervine oil. You could drink the nervines just to drink it, just when you want to. Again, like I said, we have nervine tea. We also have a relaxing tea. Relaxing tea doesn't have the alfalfa, which helps with some of the B vitamins, but some people enjoy the pleasant taste just to relax with. So some of the nervine herbs include kava kava, valerian, chamomile, lemon balm, lavender. You can just drink those, and there's many more. Passion flower, skullcap. Anyway, you can drink those, or you can take a dropper of the tincture and 1 or 2 teaspoons of digestive bitters. Bitters are herbs that are a little bitter, and we like to use those to stimulate the bile the liver to release bile to help with digestion. So they're actually beneficial. So you're just using a little bit of bitters and then a little bit of citrus. So it could be the juice of a slice of grapefruit or orange and a half a lemon or a lime. And you're mixing that together, and then you're putting all that in a glass and filling up with water. For those who wanted sparkling water, you could use sparkling water. For someone who truly has an addiction, I never thought anything about it because, like I said, I've never had any alcohol, and I had bought, I don't know if they're champagne glasses or just whatever, wine glasses or whatever. Anyway, those nice little glasses. And it wasn't until somebody was at my home and they were talking about triggers. So we have to be careful about that, even when we do our little champagne bottles, that the non-alcoholic grape juice or whatever kind of juice, apple juice, or all the different flavors they have, if you aren't in the shoes, you may not realize some of the struggles that a person may be going to, even with seeing that. So if we don't have any questions, then we will go ahead and close out with prayer. And by God's grace, you will have greater understanding when people say, look at the science, and that you can encourage those who may be trying to make a decision or have made a poor decision, that they can, by God's grace, come out of that hold.
It's more a comment.
Okay.
Yes, I remember, pilots, they're not allowed to drink when it's time to work, right? And the reason for that is because it will kind of alter their frontal lobe and their mind, and there's so many lives that would be in danger with them drinking, in service. And it's interesting because when we understand that, we may think and see, okay, when is the best time that I would allow myself to don't have a frontal lobe that would be working at its maximum, or at its best. And when we think and we try to find a time, there's no time for this. And even more importantly, in this time we're living in, Jesus is coming soon. Is there really a time where I would like to allow myself not to function properly, not to hear his voice if he has to tell me, be careful, there's a danger there? I don't know.
No, I love the fact that I'm glad you commented on that, because when would you not want your frontal lobe to be working optimally? I mean, there's no time that you don't want to be thinking straight. I can't think of a time. You can just say a little bit. Well, I mean, a little bit can make a little bit can swerve you off the road. It's particularly when, bad weather or whatever. Why would you ever want to miss and say something that you shouldn't say, or do something that you wouldn't normally do, because your frontal lobe is impaired because of what you indulged in? So yes. Any other comments? So I'm going to put some people on the spot, because I have some younger people here. How do you deal? Did you have any challenges dealing with this when you were in a different environment? Go ahead. I mean, we have people who can talk. All of them. Go ahead. Corley, you can go first to give them a chance to get their thoughts together.
I remember a challenge I had. It was right after high school. And we went to eat at a restaurant with my friends. We were 3 girls. And it was just to be together and have a good time, right? And they ordered wine. Actually, both of them were Muslim. Normally, I'm not quite sure that Muslim drink that much. I don't know. Normally, they're pretty healthy, right? However, they did order some wine, and they were asking me, won't you take one? And I was like, no, I don't drink. But they were kind of persistent, and I don't know how God made it, but I truly said no and until they leave me alone, and we just ate and whatever. And at the end of the time we were there together, one of them said, we were truly just testing you.
Wow.
And
wow.
I was shocked and sad, but I was so happy that I had said no. Because it could be very easy to just think, okay, just a little bit or whatever, but I'm so grateful that I did not.
Amen.
So sometimes people are just testing, and that's why we need to know even why we're not drinking. So, yeah.
Mr. Jackson, do you have any challenges at your job? No subtle pressures. No. Okay. Cliff, you had something to say? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to cut you.
So, I guess in the time of, when I was in Florida, and the Florida lifestyle is either is what you make it, and also is who you're with, and whoever you're with, you pretty much are there, or you are that person. So I think one time I went to the cruise with my cousins and all my cousins and friends, and it was a good time. I think at night I sneaked out of the room ship, the room in the cruise, and I was just hanging out with my cousins, and we did drink, and it did had an effect on me. Like I couldn't hold myself, and I was and even with the waves, it made it worse. And I think I did drink a lot, and it did affect me a lot. I couldn't hold my body fluids, and I kept swerving and swerving. And this is the time when I didn't really know any better, even though I was an Adventist. I didn't, you know, I was a nominal, so I just didn't know about everything. I just know about, oh, I just go to church on Sabbath and that's it. But that was the time when I went to the cruise, and um, so yeah, I didn't say no. I didn't resist it. I just wanted to, be a part of the life. I'm not in that environment anymore, so I yeah. So that was my experience with alcohol. Never do it again. Oh, and the thing is, in my culture, Corley knows about this. We have a drink every New Year's. It's a special drink, and I wish I can have it, but I can't have it. It's my one of my favorite drinks. It's kind of like an eggnog, but it's not. There's no really egg in it. It's made with other stuff, but it has alcohol in it or rum. I think that's the main ingredient. It has rum in it, and I liked it. I used to drink that every year, every New Year's, but now that I know better, I can't have it unless Corley and I mix another one that's without it. That's okay. I put her on the spot, but it's all right.
Not that you can't have it, you choose not to keep your frontal lobe. So I like the way that both of you had different stories. One, where you were pressured and you were able to stay victorious. Another one where you can keep the mic for a second, where you learned you fell, but it was a learning experience. You didn't have the knowledge that you have now. And again, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because it's all in your face. And it just makes it seem like, oh, we're just having such a great time. And so if you even out to eat with family who do choose to drink and you don't, and you have children with you, what are they observing? Do they think, oh, when I get older I want to? Or are they solid in understanding the reason why our bodies are a temple? And like Coralie brought out, we are in the time of the judgment hour. And due to the times that we're living in, we of all people want to make sure that we're keeping our frontal lobe working optimally. Our bodies are not our own, we are a temple. And so when you remember those things, that makes a big difference. Okay, well, let's go ahead and close out. And by God's grace, this has been beneficial. Heavenly Father, Lord, we do thank you that you do not take anything from us that's for our good. I thank you also, Lord, that you did give us grapes, you did give us wheat, you did give us apples, and that we can enjoy them in their purity. Lord, I thank you for victories that have been gained by many, and that for lessons that have been learned also. And for those who may be struggling, Lord, we just pray that not only that they will find that you are the source of strength and be able to exercise their will in the right way, but I also ask that you would give those of us who have understanding, the wisdom, the empathy, the desire to be a help to those, and that they can truly have the freedom that you would like for all of us to have. We also know that there are so many different types of addictions. So, Lord, in whatever form it is, whether it's food, whether it's something that's drunk, whether it's something that's inhaled, whatever it is, with something that we do with our hands, that whatever that we would remember to keep our bodies as your vessel. And I ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Class of 2025, school is in. This is Dr. Thomas Jackson, Director of M.E.E.T Ministry. This video will tell you how you can become part of this class and become a gospel medical missionary evangelist.
The School of Gospel Health Evangelism, which runs from March 2nd through June 22nd, can best be described as an extremely intensive, comprehensive, yet surprisingly simplistic educational experience. This course will train you to be a gospel medical missionary. Subjects you will study include Bible training, God's plan for the preservation and restoration of health, ministry of healing, medical missionary home health care, Christian lifestyle consulting, God's nutrition plan, medical terminology, agriculture, nature's rational remedies, literature evangelism, hydrotherapy and massage, understanding the Creator's masterpiece, and Christian entrepreneurship and marketing. Ultimately, this course provides a deeper understanding of the greatest medical book ever written, the Bible. Located on 122 country acres in Huntington, Tennessee, you will be surrounded by sights and sounds conducive to learning and spiritual growth. Opportunities for evangelistic outreach, practical work experience, in-depth classes, labs, and adventures unique only to this program await you. You'll be a special guest at the Mission Possible Expo. It's a job fair for missionaries, as well as participate in the Community Health Expo to provide free health services to the surrounding communities. This program is designed to provide you with a thorough understanding of what constitutes true gospel medical missionary work and will encompass every aspect of life. The cost of this life-changing opportunity is only $6,000 and includes tuition, room and board, and 2 plant-based meals per day. That's for 4 months. There is a non-refundable application fee of $250. Your application must be completed and turned in, along with the application fee by November 30th, 2024. For more details about tuition, deadlines, curriculum, general information, and the online application, log on now to meetministry.org and click on the School of Gospel Health Evangelism, or feel free to call us direct at 731-244-2140. That's 731-244-2140. We look forward to meeting you, and may God continue to richly bless you. Welcome to M.E.E.T Ministry. M.E.E.T Ministry believes that true health and wellness can only be found through God's plan. That's godly trust, open air, daily exercise, sunshine, proper rest, lots of water, always temperate, and nutrition. Learn more about these 8 laws of health at M.E.E.T Ministries' Our Home Natural Health Retreat. Our home is located on 122 acres of secluded countryside property in Northwest Tennessee, in the midst of rolling hills, pine, oak, and cedar trees. The peace and quiet of nature have a marvelous soothing restoration effect. Our home is a natural health retreat whose small home-like atmosphere and now offering private rooms, all is conducive to the restoration of your physical, mental, and spiritual health. Our program is uniquely designed to meet the specific needs of each guest by using God's 8 laws of health and simple natural remedies that God has provided for maintaining and regaining life and vitality. Our methods include natural herb teas and formulas, vegetable juices, hydrotherapy, body relaxation techniques, exercise, breathing techniques, nutritious plant-based meals, scheduled rest and relaxation times, sunbathing, inspiring health lectures that explain the connection between body, mind, and spirit. Our program is designed to assist with the following health conditions, including arthritis, allergies, cancer, constipation, depression, stress, anxiety, diabetes, digestive disorders, HIV, high blood pressure, lupus, obesity, smoking, heart disease, weight maintenance, and many other health-related conditions. So please visit our website now for available 10-day and 18-day session dates and cost at meetministry.org and click on Health or call us direct at 731-244-2140. That's 731-244-2140 to register and apply for a health session today. We look forward to seeing you.